So this video is to go over your review. So the first question says, what are the three linear equation forms? So we have three. They're all on your formula sheet. There's standard, which is the one that says ax plus by equals c. There's slope-intercept, which is y equals mx plus b. And there is point slope, which is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. All of these are on your formula sheet, and you do not have to memorize any of them. They are on the formula sheet for you to use and find. The next question says, what is a zero? A zero is an x-intercept. So if you're asked what is the zero of a graph, you're looking for the x-intercept. For example, if I draw a graph, this point right here is the place where I cross the x-axis, because this is my x-axis and this is my y-axis. The next question asks us what the word vux means. Vux, I'm going to write up and down like this. I'm going to write it vertically for a very important reason. Vux stands for vertical. Our slope is undefined. And they come in the form x equals. So x equals 6, x equals 12, x equals negative 8, whatever. And they look like this. Then it says, what does HOI stand for? So I'm going to draw HOI this way, because HOI stands for horizontal. This is zero slope, and they come in the form y equals. They are side-to-side lines that look like this, and they look like y equals 6 or y equals 10 or something of that nature. The next problem says, select the best equation of the line in slope-intercept form that passes through this point and is perpendicular to this line. So first of all, I want to take this slope right here and the word perpendicular. Those are key things. When you have perpendicular lines, you flip the slope over and change the sign. So instead of being 2 over 5, I'm going to become 5 over 2, and then it needs to be a negative. So when I look down here, neither one of these slopes changed. So A cannot be the answer, and then B absolutely cannot be the answer. So now I have an equation that I know this is my M, this is X, and this is Y. I don't know whether the answer has a minus 7 at the end or a plus 10.5. So I'm going to write my equation. Y equals mx plus b. That's my slope-intercept form right here. My y is negative 2 right here. Equals my m is negative 5 over 2 times my x right here is 5 plus b. So you can use your calculator and multiply together, or you could even use NSolve. You could use numeric solve for this right here, and make sure you do comma b at the end. When you do this by hand, negative 25 over 2 equals negative 2 plus b, and then you're going to add that 25 over 2 over to the other side. When you add these two things that I'm circling in yellow together, you should get 10.5. So b equals 10.5. That makes our answer letter D. Number 6, write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form that passes through the point 2, 5 and is perpendicular to y equals 2x plus 3. So the first thing I'm going to do is change this 2 to 2 over 1. The slope is perpendicular. So I'm going to flip 2 over 1 over and make it become 1/2. I'm going to make it negative. Opposite reciprocal gets your slope. So flip it over and change its sign. So here's the m I want to use. Here's my x and my y. So if I write down y equals mx plus b, my y value is 5. My m is negative 1/2. My x was 2, and then plus b. I need to solve for b. Again, you could have this in the calculator. You can put the end solve. Put this in the calculator and then do comma b, and it will solve for you. I'm going to do this by hand. When I do multiply these two together, I'm going to get a negative 1 plus b, and then 5 equals. And then I'm going to add the 1 over to the other side. So when I add this 1 over, I get b equals 6. So when I write my slope-intercept form, here's my b value, and here's my m. And now I can write my equation. Y equals negative 1/2 x plus 6. Number 7 says, graph the y equals negative 5x minus 2 on the graph below. So when you do this on your test, it's going to look like this, and you're going to have these options. You're going to need to pick linear first because it's going to be online. So pick linear, and then all you need to do is pick 2 points. So there's a couple options. Option 1, that's the y-intercept. So put a dot right there. And then I can use this negative 5 as my slope. Negative 5 over 1 equals my rise over my run. So I can go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and to the right 1. Once you drop that second point down, the line will automatically graph on the computer. Your other option is to take the y equals negative 5x plus 2. You can type this whole thing into Desmos, and then press the little gear shift and get the table. Or you can put it in your calculator, and your calculator, when you open it, says this. So you only need to type the negative 5x plus 2, and then graph it. And then when you're on the graph, press Control, the colored button, and T, and the table will show up. And then you just grab any 2 dots and graph those 2 dots. And then once you do that, your computer will draw this line automatically for you. Number 8 says the table represents points on the graph of a linear function. So important, linear function. Write the equation in slope-intercept form. So again, different options. If you're going to use your calculator, you're going to open a new document and do menu. 6, 1, 3. You're going to type your x's in and your y's in. Remember, when you do it on the calculator, this little window pops up. And then the x line, you have to put the little squiggly brackets, and then you would enter negative 1, comma 3, comma 7, comma 11. And then in the y column, you do the same thing in order, 3, comma negative 1, comma negative 5, comma negative 9. There's a little F1 right here. Make sure you delete it, and then just press enter. And it will spit out the answer to you. If you're at home working on this, or you prefer Desmos, then the Desmos way, you open up Desmos, and then you're going to press the plus button in the top left-hand corner and pick table. So a table is going to show up like this. It's the x1, y1. And you're just going to type your table in. Negative 1, 3, 3, negative 1, 7, 5, 11, negative 9. So this is like your first line in Desmos, like this on your screen. And the next line down right here, you're going to type y1, the squiggly, mx1 plus b. And a window will pop up right here, and it will tell you what your answers are. So when it does that, the answers that both versions are going to spit out is that m, -1. B, the y-intercept, is 2. And then you write your equation. Y equals -1x plus 2. Or y equals -x plus 2. Those are the same thing. Either one of these is your answer. On the next page, number 9 is just like number 8. The only difference is they gave you points. But points are just a fancy way of writing a table. So I can do 9, 14, 18, 22, or you can call this x, y, but you're going to do the same thing. In the calculator, you're going to do, on a new calculator page, menu 613, and enter the information in. Or in Desmos, you're going to hit the plus sign, and then do a table, and enter your table in, and then do the y1 squiggly mx1 plus b. Either way, but pick the way that works for you and just keep using it over and over again. And when you do that, both versions will tell you that m equals 8/9. And so we would select 8/9. Our slope is 8/9. Number 10 says the graph appears to have an x-intercept. So x-intercept. We're going to go to the x-axis. That's this one right here. And let's go across. My x-intercept is 3. The ordered pair of the dot I just circled is 3, because I went 3 to the right from the origin right here, comma 0. I didn't go up and down any. So this right here is the one I should pick. And a y-intercept, this is my y-axis, so if I go down my y-axis, I touch right here, that's a -2. So my y-intercept is, I didn't go left to right at any, and then my y value is -2. Make sure that you know that for an x-intercept, y always equals 0, and for any y-intercept, the x always equals 0. Number 11 wants us to write an equation for the graph that we're given. So first thing I would do is pick my form. And if I look down here, all of these equations are y equals mx plus b. So this b is my y-intercept. If I look at my y-axis, I touch at 3. So on my equation, I should have a plus 3 at the end. So you should get rid of option A, and you should get rid of option D. This m right here is my slope. It's my rise over my run. So if I look right here, there's a dot, and there's another good dot right here. So if you look, I go down, -1, I'm going down. So that my rise is -1, and my run is 2. So when I do rise over run, it should be -1/2. So my m right here should be a -1/2, and then my x. So if I look here, my answer is B. Number 12 says, graph y equals 4x plus 3 on the graph below. So again, this is going to be on the computer. So first you're going to pick linear, and then you're going to have to graph 2 dots. You can graph those different ways and get those dots different ways. We'll talk about that just like we did in a previous problem. So the first thing, this is the y-intercept. So I would put a dot right here at 3. And then this is my slope. It's 4/1, and that's the rise over my run. So from this dot, I can go up 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, and that's my new dot. And once you've done linear and plotted 2 dots, it'll automatically put this line down. If counting these dots out is hard for you, then you can put the 4x plus 3 in Desmos. and then press the gear shift and get a table. Or you can put it in the calculator and then press Control T and get the table and just graph 2 dots that are from the table. And I'm going to do another point. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. So the next part of the question says, what is the 0? Asking what a 0 is like finding the x-intercept. If you look at my graph, my x-intercept is not going to be pretty. It's going to be a fraction. So since we can't just read it off the graph, you can have a couple options. Particularly in the table from the calculator, you're looking for when y equals 0. So if I'm going to let y equal 0, the other way without using a calculator table is that I could use the equation they gave me. I have y equals 4x plus 3. And I'm going to let y become 0. So I have 0 equals 4x plus 3. You can put this in the calculator with nsolve and solve it. Or you can solve by doing minus 3 minus 3. Negative 3 equals 4x. Divide by 4 and divide by 4. X equals negative 3 over 4. So my 0 is negative 3 over 4, or negative 0.75. The y-intercept is much simpler because it's in my equation. It's right here. My y-intercept is 3. Let's go on to the next page. So on the next page, it says, the graph of the linear function is shown below. What is the best representation of the graph? These again are all in y equals mx plus b form. They're in slope-intercept form. So the first thing I will go do is handle this y-intercept, this b value, and it's 4. So my equation at the end should have a plus 4. So it can't be b and it can't be d. Now if you notice, what's different between these two equations is my slope. So let's go count my slope. If I have a dot right there, and here's another dot, I'm going, my rise is up 2, and my run is over 1. So when I do rise over run, I get 2 over 1, which is just 2. So my slope, my m, should be 2. I should have a 2 out front, so it has to be letter A. We're going to graph. So the first thing we're going to do is I need you to pretend this is an equal sign for a second. You can graph it in a calculator, you can graph it in Desmos, you can graph it by hand, but we're going to have to put 2 points down. So when I put these points down, this right here is my y-intercept. So I'm going to put a dot at 3. Then this right here is my slope. It's my rise over my run. So from this dot I made, I would go up 1, 2, and to the right 1, 2, 3. So I have these 2 dots. Now I have to tell the computer what to do. So I need to pick right here, solid or dotted. And so when I pick solid or dotted, I have to look right here. If it's a less than or a greater than sign, it will always be dashed. To make it become a solid line, it has to be the less than with the line or the greater than with the line. So it's less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. If there's a line here, then you want the solid line here. So now we know this computer force is going to graph a dotted line. And then we have to tell it where to shade. I have to shade up or down. If I write this equation, it says y is greater than 2 over 3x plus 3. Y is bigger. I want the y's bigger. Bigger means on top. So I want to shade up. So I would shade up. The computer would do all that shading for you. If graphing this is difficult, again, you can take this thing right here and put it in the calculator or in Desmos and get a table and plot any 2 points off the table. 15. The graph appears to have an x-intercept. So here's my x-axis, and here's my x-intercept, -3. Remember, x-intercepts are always in the form of x, 0. So my x was -3, and my y should be 0. So -3, 0. And a y-intercept, here's my y-axis, and here's where I cross, that's at 4. Y-intercepts are always in the form of 0, y, and our y was 0, 4. So that one right there. Oops. 16 says, what is the slope of a line represented by the equation they gave you? Rewrite the equation in slope-intercept form. The form they gave me is standard, and standard is not very much fun. So I'm going to write it down again. 5y minus 6x equals 5. This is standard form. I want to go to slope-intercept. And slope-intercept looks like y equals mx plus b. So if you look for a second, you see how the y is all by itself? That's exactly what I need to do. I need to get the y all by itself. So I'm going to draw a line, and I'm going to do my force field around my y stuff. So my 5y, it's in a different place, but it's okay. I need to move the 6x away, and the 6x is negative, so I'm going to make it positive. Make it positive. So I have 5y equals, those go away. Oops, I forgot to write my x right here. You always write your x stuff first. So 6x, and then that 5 is a plus 5. Again, I'm solving for y. So the y is being multiplied by 5. So I'm going to divide by 5, divide by 5, divide by 5. Every single piece by 5. So this gets me y equals 6 over 5x, and then 5 divided by 5 is 1. This right here is my slope. So 6 over 5 is my slope. My answer is y equals 6 over 5x plus 1. Last page. Again, this is in standard form, and it's no help to me, and I want to go to slope-intercept form. This is the same as the last problem, so I need to solve for the y. So I have 2x plus 8y equals 32. Draw a line. I need to get the y by himself, so I need to move the 2x away, and the 2x is positive, so I'm going to minus 2x, minus 2x. Those cancel out. 8y equals always x stuff first. Negative 2x plus 32. I'm solving for y, not 8y, so I need to divide every piece by that 8. Y equals, if you type negative 2 divided by 8 in the calculator, you get negative 1/4 x, and then 32 divided by 8 is plus 4. My slope is the negative 1/4. And y equals negative 1/4 x plus 4 is my slope-intercept form. (18) says the table represents points on a linear function. Write the equation from the table in slope-intercept form and point-slope form. So let's do slope-intercept form first. Slope-intercept form. You have two options. You can do the calculator and do menu 613. It's a calculator. Or you can use Desmos and then put the table in and then do y1 squiggly m x1 plus b. Either way, it will spit out to you the answer. And it will tell you that m equals 5 and b equals 5 as well. So I should get y equals 5x plus 5. Now when I go over here to do point slope form, I can use any of these points I want. I can use this one, or I can use this one, or I can use this one, or I can use this one. I don't love the negative, so I'm going to pick the positive one. So point slope says y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. We know our slope is 5. We found that from the calculator. This 3 is an x1, and this 20 is a y1. So y minus 20 equals 5, my slope, x minus 3. That's my answer for this one, point slope. Y minus 20 equals 5, x minus 3. If you wanted to do the blue pair right here, you'd have a 45 here and an 8 there. If you wanted to do the green pair, you'd have a 13 and, a 70 and a 13. The only tricky one is this one up here, because you're going to end up with a y minus a negative 5 equals 5 times x minus a negative 2. And right here, this minus is going to make a plus, and this minus and minus make a plus. But you can use any one of those points that you want. For 19, just like lots of the problems, you have options. You can graph this equation. So let's start there. This right here is my y-intercept, negative 6. This is 2 over 1, which is my slope, which is my rise over my run. So from here I go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. And because this is just a greater than sign, should look like that. And it says y is bigger. Since y is bigger, I want to shade on top. So you'd say on the top half of the graph. So you can do all of this if you choose. And then I have to use my picture to answer the question. So if I want to know which one of these is not a solution, then the dot cannot be in the shading. So 0, negative 6 is on the line. Negative 7 zeros right here. That's not it. Negative 1, positive 7. So that's not it. Then I have negative 2, negative 9. And I think that one's just going to oops, that was the wrong dot. Sorry. That one's just going to barely sneak in right on the other side. So that's not it. Leaving me as my answer of A. Now, if graphing and pictures are not the way your brain works, there's another way to do this. On my calculator, they gave me y is greater than 2x minus 6. For letter A, I have the ordered pair 0, negative 6. This is my x and my y. So if I plug it in, I get negative 6 is greater than positive 2 times 0 minus 6. If you type this in the calculator, it's going to say false, which means it's not a solution. Because negative 6 is greater than 2 times 0 is 0 minus 6. Negative 6 is not greater than negative 6. That's not true. Those two things are equal. Whereas if you plugged in B, C, or D into the calculator and pressed enter, it would say true, meaning they are an answer. Okay, number 20, last problem. The graph shows point W and line T below. So here's line T, and then point W, I'm going to use a different color. It's right here. Write the equation in slope-intercept form that passes through W and is parallel to T. So let's look at T for a second. T has a dot here and a dot right here. So if I want to find T's slope, this distance here is down 3, and then this right here is over 1. So my rise was -3 over my run was 1. So if I'm going to be parallel, I have to keep the same rise over run. So my m is going to equal -3. So I'm going to go to W for a second. If I look at W, I can go down and do this slope and keep the same slope. Go down 1, 2, 3, and over 1. And when I do that, that's my y-intercept. So I have y equals -3x. Parallel means keep same slope. And then we just found our new intercept to be -2. The other way you could do this is a point, and its ordered pair is -1, 1. And you could have written out that y equals -3x plus b and plugged in a 1 here and a -1 in there and done end solve, and it would have told you that b equals -2. Either way will absolutely work.